Cars is a franchise that I hold near and dear to my heart. I watched the first film religiously when I was little. I collected a dump truck load of the toys with the help of my parents, which obviously built up into a massive collection, and despite that, I can't find most of them anymore, and whenever I do, they're chewed up for some reason, because I was like 4 when I had those toys. And for the rest, I believe they're at some storage facility somewhere in my town. I, of course, also went to see Cars 2 and 3 in theaters when they came out. Anyways, let's segue into my thoughts and history with the new show, Cars on the Road. As you can obviously tell from the intro, I've had an affinity for the Cars films growing up. Of course, when I found out that there was going to be a show about this franchise on Disney+, I was very excited to see how the story and franchise would continue in this new series. And now that it's out, let's talk about it. The main plot of the show is that Mater is going to his sister's wedding, and he is a bit nervous about it for some reason, so Lightning McQueen decides to join with him on this long road trip. Yeah, that's basically it. The plot is a pretty simple, fun, low-stakes road trip type of plot, and, like I mentioned before, it's quite good. Despite its simplicity, it's pretty well executed thanks to the character dynamics and the visuals. Given that this is a mini-series, I thought I could go over each episode in order and discuss my thoughts on them, so let's go. The first episode is about Lightning McQueen insisting that he and Mater go to a dinosaur park. He then proceeds to fall asleep, causing him to have this awesome as heck Ray Harryhausen-esque style dream where he and McQueen, as old cars, are fighting against dinosaurs. He later wakes up and leaves with McQueen, no longer afraid of dinosaurs. This is a pretty good first episode since it gives us a good idea of what the rest of the show will be like, giving us some quick and enjoyable fun. One thing that I would like to add is that this episode shockingly answers the question of how the cars in this universe originated, which is that they originated as dinosaurs. What? How? Why? Regardless, it is cool that the folks at Pixar decided to answer this long-awaited question in the first place. The second episode is about McQueen and Mater going to a scary hotel. During the night, McQueen leaves his room and then gets haunted by spooky car ghosts, and that's it. I do like how when McQueen sees the ghost twins, not only is the floor that he's on a reference to The Shining, but also a reference to Toy Story. 2 references in one. I love it. I also like this scene where he's trying to run away. I just find it hilarious because it would suck to be in a car in a human-designed hotel. Overall, another pleasant episode. The third episode is about McQueen and Mater on a salt road where they stumble upon this little speedy car convention, and Mater gets outfitted as a racer like in Tokyo Mater, and almost dies by entering into car heaven by going too fast. He escapes car heaven and leaves the salt road with McQueen. This is a pretty cool episode since we get to see the new breeds of insanely fast cars that make F1 race cars look like Model Ts. It is also insane that we kind of get to see car heaven-ish. And it's also kind of weird to see Mater be faster than McQueen, even if he is modified. The fourth episode is about McQueen and Mater camping out when they hear about Bigfoot. Why? Shouldn't it be a wheel instead of a foot? What? Anyways, when the cars are looking around, Big Wheel catches McQueen, and they learn that she is a monster truck named Ivy, who wanted more freedom because of her previous job, I think in which she was basically stepping on cars. But later, she frees the two and runs off with them. This episode is not as good as the previous ones in my opinion, but it is still pretty nice. Ivy is a very nice addition to the Cars cast. The fifth episode is about McQueen, Mater, and Ivy going to a car wash to clean Ivy up. They then go to a circus, and it turns out that McQueen is afraid of clowns, which is sad because that means he will never be able to appreciate this thing of beauty. Anyways, we also learn that Ivy is really great at being a circus performer, so she decides to join. This episode is alright. I think it kind of reuses the plot of the first episode with the whole character being afraid of things shtick, and Ivy leaving the group feels a bit too soon, but it still has its enjoyability, and do not worry, this is not the last we see of Ivy. The sixth episode is about McQueen and Mater going to a truck stop. At the truck stop, we get an entire awesome musical number about the trucks, celebrating their solidarity with Mater, which is pretty awesome because not only is the song pretty cool, but we also see Mater have more of a sense of belonging with the other trucks, since earlier in the episode, he didn't feel like an important truck, which is nice to see. Overall, this is a great episode. The song is great. I mean, take a listen to this gem. Laying hard upon the horn, shades in position on it. The side story of McQueen at the store was funny because he misses out on the whole song, and I'm also just a huge sucker for musical numbers in general, which is probably why this is my favorite episode of the whole show. So yeah, give this episode a watch. You won't regret it. The 7th episode is about McQueen and Mater strolling about on their road trip when they stumble onto a movie set from Breaklight Pictures and are cast into a zombie film. Despite McQueen being more famous, Mater is surprisingly a better actor, which causes some mild tension between the two. Later, when they show up on the set, they change the production of this film from a sci-fi film to a musical. We also get to see Ivy for one last time, when they discover that she was cast in the movie due to her acrobatic skills. Overall, this is a pretty good episode, albeit it's kind of generic. The 8th episode is about McQueen and Mater having some dumb argument when they get carnapped by road warriors, forcing them to fight to the death in the terrifying Thunderstone. We then see Mater and McQueen learning about the very weird origin of why the road warriors exist, which was because of some dumb petty stuff. Just like what started the fight between the two earlier in the episode, so they make amends and invite the road warriors to enjoy some drinks. This is also a pretty good episode, but I do think that the fight at the beginning was a tad unnecessary, although it is great that this exact episode called this out. Also, the Road Warriors are kind of cool, and I would like to see more of them later on. The 9th and final episode is about Mater and McQueen finally arriving at the wedding of Mater's sister, Motto, located at Mater's childhood home, where McQueen discovers Mater comes from a very rich family, shockingly enough, and that Motto's fiancé is the cousin of McQueen's protege, Cruz Ramirez. Hey, it's nice to see her again. McQueen confesses to Cruz that he's been kind of uneasy with the trip due to his experiences. Meanwhile, Mater and Motto reunite, and we learn why Mater was nervous to see her. It's because of their long-going sibling rivalry. So they have this very long battle with each other until Cruz helps them reconcile. Because of how long the battle has been, the priest leaves the wedding, causing Cruz to take his place. So Motto and her fiancé get married, and later at the wedding, Mater makes a speech toward McQueen that allows him to come to terms with his experiences, and he suggests returning to Radiator Springs by road instead of a plane, as he planned. Overall, this is a great final episode. It wraps things up pretty well, and it's awesome to see Cruz again. We get to learn a lot more about Mater. This was a pretty good send-off. It was no Gravity Falls level of great, but good. Besides, it's way better than the finale of the Pac-Man cartoon. 7 years later, and I'm still very pissed about that. Overall, as a longtime Cars fan, this show lived up to my expectations. The jokes are pretty funny, the character dynamics are classic and great, the animation and visuals are fantastic, the episodes were consistently great. It was awesome to see these characters again. To any fan of this franchise like myself, I'd say go give it a watch. Yes, it's a quick series, but I think fans of this franchise will finish the show with a smiling face. To non-fans, you're not missing out on much. This is Circulatory 684, and goodbye, Radiator Springs.